Hello, my name is Scott Stanfield, and I am the modern longevitarian. And welcome to the show today. Welcome to all the people who are watching on Spirituality Gone Wild. Welcome all the people who are on LinkedIn as well. And I want to say I'm so excited about today's show. This is also a teaser, if you will, to the show on Friday with Dr. David Brownstein. And he's written multiple books, over 20 books, one of them being about iodine and why you need it and why you can't live without it. So this is going to be a precursor about how I used his stuff and the journey I went on. And again, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I encourage you to do your own research, talk to your physician, in any of those type of things. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever been laying in bed, eyes heavy, feeling tired, wondering what you're missing? I mean, you don't even have the strength to move the covers, much less to face another day. Right. Well, I've been there multiple times. I've been 40 pounds overweight at least twice and lost that weight. I've been overweight up 30 pounds another couple times and lost that. So I've lost and gained weight over the years multiple times. And just what am I missing? So that led to a simple Google search of deficiencies. Now, top deficiencies may be iron, vitamin D, magnesium. But one popped up on there that I was not checking the box on, and that was iodine. And now I'd heard about Lugol's iodine specifically from Dave Asprey. Dave Asprey is the bulletproof coffee guy. You may have heard him, one of the original people to use the term biohacker. And I had heard about this. And now here's the thing: deficiencies. In looking at deficiencies and trying to check all these boxes is a very slippery slope. I would say is probably one of the steepest for me and one of the most slick. Meaning that once I start going down that trail, down that slope, it's hard for me to go back the other way because I find myself overeating to check all the boxes because I'm trying to get all the nutrients that I need and all the things I need from my diet. And someone who knows as much about food as I have, being in the restaurant business for all these years and doing all the research with my wife being a personal trainer and us being foodies and all that stuff, it could be very complicated and very, very difficult to do. And then on the next piece of the puzzle is I find myself spending hundreds of dollars in supplements, right? Trying to check all these boxes. And when we're supposed to be getting this from our food. And that's what the term modern longevitarian is like, how can we check these boxes and live in this modern, fast paced world that may not have nutrient dense food and those type of things. Right. So, I started cross-referencing things. I don't ever just like read one article because God, who's can believe one person, right? Have an opinion on something or some website like Healthline has just come out of nowhere. And every time you, by the way, there's a little Lugol's iodine in my coffee this morning, by the way, 2%, 5 drops. And sorry to break the concentration there, but I just want to let you know that I put it in my black coffee. And by the way, my wife and I are starting just today the longevity diet, fasting mimicking diet, which is 5 days, 100% plant-based. So today we get to have 1,100 calories, and I just want to say we're starting that today. Put that out into the world, so we'll give you an update as that goes. I'm going to do a body fat percentage check right after I get off the show. I was preparing for the show this morning, and then I'll see how that changes over the next 5 days. So Monday you'll get the results. So tune in. All right. So anyway, I started doing cross-referencing. That led me to some YouTube videos and information with Dr. Brownstein and all the things. It also led me into the history of iodine in our country and iodine in salt, which is really an interesting dynamic. Most people can get, if you live, there's a thing called the goiter belt. I don't know if you've ever heard of this or not. I had never heard of the goiter belt. The goiter belt basically is this area in the center of Europe, in the center of the continental U.S. that is obviously away from the coast. That is people were getting goiter disease. It's kind of like the Rust Belt, the Bible Belt. I mean, you think about this area where there's people who are getting these things. And basically, it's an iodine deficiency. Well, here I am, 7,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains of Utah. There's not an ocean close by. There's salt in the area, obviously real salt, which I'm affiliate for. I eat their salt. But you have to think in our family, because the influence of chefs in my life working in the restaurant world, I saw them using kosher salt. So I was like, well, instead of buying Morton's iodized salt or whatever iodized salt was on the shelf, I'll buy kosher salt when we go to the grocery store. Right. And so we did that. So for years, we've been doing kosher salt, and I double checked before the show. Kosher salt doesn't have iodine added to it. So here we are. We're using kosher salt. Then sea salt comes about. And I'm sure that I know that Celtic sea salt is unprocessed and has iodine and minerals and all these micronutrients in it, and the same with Redmond as well. But if you're buying a white colored sea salt that's been processed, it's likely that it doesn't have any of those benefits to it. So be careful with that. And there's so many things that are needed with iodine. And so I was starting to develop like this exercise adult asthma attacks. I don't know what was inducing it, whether it was toxic overload or any of those type of things. But come to find out, our bodies need so much iodine in a single day, and our bodies don't produce it at all. Our bodies don't produce it. We have to ingest it. And it ideally would come from our diet, but if your diet can't get it, or you live in a goiter belt like me, or you can't go to the ocean and absorb it through your skin, or it's not in the vegetables that are grown that are being shipped to the grocery store that you buy where you buy your food, then you're not getting it either. And I've read somewhere that, and I tried to find it this morning, but I couldn't find the source. But I read somewhere that our bodies need about 13 milligrams a day for our thyroid to produce all the hormones that they produce, for our lungs to function properly, and all the different elements that are needed for iodine in our system. And here's the funny thing is that the recommended daily allowance for non-pregnant women and men is 150 micrograms. We need 13 milligrams. How ironic is it that the Japanese diet, the minimum that they think they get from their diet day in and day out, is 13 milligrams a day, and they eat a lot of seaweed, which is where that comes from. And so it's really, really, really interesting when you look at that and you start relating to life expectancy in Japan versus America. 76 and a half in America versus over 84 in Japan, which has the oldest average population in the world right now. And they get iodine. We rank 5th in cancer in the world globally, and they're 43rd rank. And if you know my story, or if this is the first time that you've been on my show or watched the show, this is, this all started with my parents getting cancer in their 50s. So that's why that correlation is in there. So I just want to, hi Laura, how you doing? I can't ask Dr. Brown. I'll put that into the notes. You also can be on the show on Friday if you like, and you can put that in the comments, and we'll be sure to ask him about that. I know he has an answer. I've heard him talk about that before. So I know he'll have a great answer for it. So thank you for tuning in today. And so my point is this: we need so much iodine, and our government regulations is not telling us what we need, which is not a surprise, right? And I'm not talking bad about the government. I'm just saying that it just doesn't balance out, right? And so what happens is the first public health victory back in the 20s was when iodine was added to salt to eliminate this goiter belt from happening. Now, here's a real tricky thing is that, the common denominator that we've been told about salt is that you need less salt, but yet iodine is in salt to combat the fact that people are not getting enough iodine to eliminate goiter disease, which is a swelling of parts of the thyroid, and they have these lumps in their necks and things like that. So that's kind of weird, right? That's really kind of weird. So I did a lot of research. I found this protocol online that talks about taking a certain amount, and it actually is in his book, Dr. David Brownstein's book. There's a link in here if you want to buy the book. You can go do that, and where you can take 50 milligrams a day, 100 milligrams a day, and all those different things. But there's things that are going to happen, and I did this consistently for 1 year, and I'm going to tell you about my story about going through that. And you saw the picture, and I'll put this back up. I don't know if you can tell here, but you can see the acne on my forehead right here. Don't have that anymore. And that was coming from, taking the iodine. And that was when I was working, and I was doing this. It was a couple of years ago that I went through this whole process. So anyway, let me make sure I don't miss anything here. And so I also found out, this is a really cool thing, is that there is this thing about iodine overdosing and poisoning and that type of stuff. I have taken 300 milligrams of iodine in a single day when I had a cold back when I was still getting sick. And I'm still here. Nothing happened negatively, all those type of things. So I macro dosed on that when I wasn't feeling good. And I still do from time to time if those things pop up. But what I found is that iodine needs some other things to really work. It's like this stacking of effect that you could have. One of them, and super important, is selenium, and that is super important. Another one is these B cofactors, so vitamin B cofactors. And another one is I think vitamin C plays a role in that as well, right? So you got to, these basic things that you need, but selenium is one of these things that really helps it work on the level that it's supposed to work. And so I started, I started taking iodine, and like I said, I saw this with Dave Asprey. He created this next level neti pot when he was struggling with mold and really kind of fight that in his sinuses, where he'd take a big bowl, put some sea salt in there, put 5 drops of iodine in it, submerge his face in there. So he would kill everything around his eyes and his sinuses. He would actually suck the water. He would bend over and suck the water into his nose until it came out of his mouth, and then spit it out in the sink and do that. And I have done that, right? I have done that. And so that's where I started with Lugol's iodine. Then I stumbled on taking iodine because I thought I was deficient in it and all those things. And what happened is I found out one other thing is that people who take iodine call it iodine. And I will tell you, it will give you a freaking buzz, right? And I'm not saying this is that if you need a buzz or any of those type of things, but that means that your body needs it and your body's doing really good when you're feeling tingly and good all over, right? And so I'm not saying that you need to go into alcohol and drugs or any of those type of things, but this is a nutrient that your body needs. One of the most important things that I found is that before there was big pharma making a pill for every ill, playing this whack-a-mole thing is like, you have this, take this, you have this, take this, not looking at root causes. Iodine was one of the biggest things doctors prescribed to people in hospitals and at home and all over the place. And it's a specific type of iodine. The Lugol's recipe is the one Lugol apostrophe S. I don't have any here to show you what I have, but I have it down in the kitchen. And so we keep a couple bottles in, and we take them on hikes with us, in case we need them or things like that. So it's super important, right? And especially there's even more that is needed for women who are pregnant. And I'm not going to get into doses or any of those type of things, but or prescribing anything, because that's not really what I do. This is more about my experience. And if you can see right now, I don't have anything on my forehead. I don't have any of that stuff, so I don't have it. So this is what happens. There are 4 on the periodic table. There are 4 elements inside the halide family. Iodine is one of them. It's the heaviest of the 4. Now, you've heard of these other ones, right? You've heard 2 of the other ones, at least fluoride and chloride, right? So fluorine, chlorine, fluoride, chloride, right? And bromide, right? Now, bromide's in things like as a dough conditioner in bread. It's in Mountain Dew, which I used to drink a 6-pack of every day when I was before I got in the restaurant business. That was where I get my caffeine from. And then obviously we know fluoride. Fluoride's in the water. Chlorine's in the water. It's in the pools we swim in the summer. It's all over the place, right? It's in the toothpaste. It's all these different places, right? So what happens with bromide, fluoride and chlorine and iodine? Well, there's iodine receptors in our body, and they get clogged up with these other things, specifically bromide. So if you're eating dough and bread and those type of things, it's blocking this ability to actually receive it. Now, according to what I read, that acne that I was getting on my forehead was actually, I was detoxing from having so much bromide in my body. So even if when I was taking the iodine, I wasn't absorbing it all because the receptors were blocked. And so all that process had to go through. So, hey, I hated to take you through this organic chemistry piece of the puzzle, but I just want you to understand that there may be your receptors may be blocked because of the diet you had from years ago. I'm 48 now, so I had to go through that in my mid 40s and really detox all that stuff that had been in my body for all those years. Even though I'd been down to 160 pounds, the same weight I was in high school and the same weight I was in college, right? I had to go through that process of detoxing and getting through that process. So I did this for a year. The first 2 or 3 months, I felt amazing. Everything was great. And then all of a sudden, the acne piece came out. So this is a longer term thing. So then for the next 6 months, 7 months, I had acne on my forehead, which is, you got to be really strong if you're going to stick to this, right? And you're going to, wow, I'm in my mid 40s. I got this acne breakout on my forehead. What's going on? And I just trusted that this was cleaning it up, right? The cleaning these things up. And it also was, you know, I had this, belief that I had this underlying candida overgrowth infection, and that this iodine was going to be impacting that in a positive way. And so I just stuck with it through this whole time. And then it was almost like I passed through the eye of the needle. I came out of the cave, I saw the light and came out of the dark and all these different things. And then all of a sudden, just one day I felt better. And I felt better almost every day since then. Right. And so do I take iodine every day now? No. But do I understand the importance of it? Yes. Do I think that I went through this detox and I feel better? Yes. So it's a super important nutrient that almost all of us are deficient on. And the only way we can easily access iodine is through salt. And our government's telling us and the doctors are telling us we need less salt. Well, which I disagree with, right? I refer to a study from Dr. Stephen Finney, Phinney. He's an MD and a PhD. He's created so many words and terms around the ketogenic diet. Is, like fat adapted, nutritional ketosis, and all these different things. Tried to prove Dr. Atkins wrong back in the 70s and proved himself wrong. So he lived in ketosis for 10 years. And so he actually referenced a study that we need the magic number of sodium that we need is almost 5 grams a day. Right. And so low salt is something. And I also did and I can talk to Dr. Brownstein about salt on Friday, because that's another one of his books, like Salt Your Way to Health. But also Daryl Bauchard with Real Salt. We did a show here on the live show, and which is super informative about salt and how important it is. We even touched on iodine as well. So, and so also, you got detoxing bromide, acne, and then so it's iodine. Is it important? Yes, it's super important. Is it something that you can do today? Yes, I buy my Lugol's iodine on Amazon and have it shipped to the house, right? And it's good for cuts. It's good for things. And I use it when I occasionally now get a cold sore. I'll put it on a cold sore and it will heal up a cold sore really fast as well. So it's just not just any iodine, doesn't have any alcohol in it like you would get at the grocery store or anything, like that. It's not like for that type. Is a different, it's got potassium iodide in it. So it's a different type of iodine than what we had normally been using here. So it's part of our history, right? Is part of our history, is part of, before Big Pharma, is our bodies need it. And again, it was so important to the health of people living in the Goiter Belt back in the 20s that it actually was put in salt so it could help cure that. So it's super, super cool, right? So I got a couple questions and comments coming in. Let's see what we got on. So Shara Renee, off topic, but what's your best recommendation for collagen? Well, that's an interesting thing. I'm getting ready to do a test. Let me show you this real quick. I would say for collagen is, giving the building blocks for collagen is probably the most important piece of the puzzle. I'm going to be testing, I don't know if you can see this here. Here we go. This is an immunity build, but it's actually supposed to help. So it's got these medical grade 19 amino acids. And this is from Dr. Linda Ellison. She sent me a sample to try. I'm going to do this. I'm doing a cleanse right now, doing this diet right now. And so I would say for collagen, I've taken different types of collagen. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for, there's a couple schools of thought on this, right? Like Dr. Gundry says that taking collagen your body doesn't produce more collagen, but yet, Dave Asprey with Bulletproof has collagen. So many people have collagen that you can buy. I've seen some really good results with marine collagen from fish. I've seen that and how that's supposed to be more absorbable and do that. If you're a vegetarian and you don't want to do beef or do beef collagen or any of those type of things, I would I think there's one called Great Lakes that it is beef, but that's supposed to be really good. But I'm super excited to try this amino build there. So for building collagen, your vitamin C is important for that. Also, proline and lysine are important amino acids for building collagen. So those are some building blocks that you can do for that. But again, I'm not prescribing this. I'm not a doctor, but those are very similar things to what Dr. Gundry recommends when it comes to building collagen. Is give those type of things. And then let's see here. Oh, hi Kim, how are you? Super interesting. Thank you very much, and thanks for watching on LinkedIn as well. And so if you guys got any questions, shoot those in. I pretty much have hit my, all the points that I wanted to hit about Lugol's iodine, taking iodine, because it's a very, very important thing. But I understand that your body needs so much more. We don't produce it. We end up consuming things that block the receptors for iodine, and it, we just it's just kind of lost on us in our modern day society. Can you get iodine from seaweed? Yes. Dulce is really good. Obviously eating sushi with the seaweed wraps and the nori and those type of things. And even now, these days, we actually keep those packets of those the seaweed. It's like chips. I don't eat potato chips because I'm keto and those type of things. And so a good afternoon snack, low in calories, and you can get nutrients that, the iodine you need from the seaweed. And, I made some cauliflower rice the other day that I used a Bragg's kelp seasoning in there. It was a little fishy tasting, to be honest with you. I didn't post it because I was like, I don't really like this so much, but I did it for the iodine piece of it because I'm trying to hit different types of iodine versus just taking and making my coffee smell and taste like medicine all the time. When I do make bulletproof coffee, I will say that when I put iodine in there, that I don't have any problems with it, with the taste or anything. But I'm extreme. I'm hardcore, right? I mean, here I am putting iodine in my coffee, going, I can't even taste it. Well, yeah, I've been taking it for 2 or 3 years now, and I guess my body knows how important it is, and those type of things. I've even looked at other things for thyroid support, where I've actually taken like bovine thyroid, the supplements before. Didn't see much of an impact on that. I've looked at other things for, histamine intolerance, like taking, kidney pills before, those type of things. It's it's super, super important, trying to figure out what works for you and what you need for your particular body at this time. And so I got another comment in here. So Bernard, a great video, but I can't see how I can post that. We can send you a message after this is over and talk to you, but I don't understand. I can walk through you how to post it, Bernard. And so it's really cool, right? It's really cool to get up on the iodine and go through this detox. I will say it's probably going to take about a year to do this, so it's a commitment, but it's so needed. And in the process of eliminating cancer, it could be one of the keys of why Americans getting cancer so much. I mean, we're so likely to get cancer in our lives, and I encourage you to at least do your research on it. And so in doing that, Friday show with Dr. David Brownstein, we will go deep into iodine. I encourage you to be here if there's something to interest you. I'll put up I'll create the show today. So pay attention to my feed, and I'll even reach out to people and say, here's a reminder for this, and get a reminder for it. So I super appreciate you tuning in today. Again, I take iodine all the time. I take the cofactors that go with it, vitamin C, selenium, and these B cofactors. And another reason I take B is because I went to see a functional doctor, told me my B was low when he did some blood work, and low B can be, he said, it actually makes my blood, or everybody's blood, like sandpaper, and you could be a precursor to getting Alzheimer's and things like that. So I want to be, and because I do a lot of plant-based stuff now, B12 is super important in that. I don't take B12 every day. Took a couple of them this morning under my tongue, some methyl B12, because I wanted a little extra kick for the show. But I just want you to understand that it's not just one thing that's going to do this. It's a combination of things. And so you may actually be getting enough iodine, but you may be not. All right. So it depends. Right. And you have to be careful. If you say, I'm going to get my iodine because I'm going to eat wild caught seafood or, farm raised seafood or those things. you may be exposing yourself to heavy metal, mercury, and toxin overload that way. So you gotta be careful with balancing these things out. And especially if you're getting into, things like foods that have been stored in cans, like canned tuna, things like that, you can get into histamine intolerances and that type of stuff. So again, I don't see any more questions coming in. I'm going to wrap it up right here. And again, tomorrow's show, we have Inga Stanfield. She is no relation to me. She has a podcast about restaurants called The Making Dough Show. Her and her husband own a couple restaurants in Texas, and I'm excited to have her on the show. It's going to be super cool. And so that'll be tomorrow's show. And then Friday, again, Dr. David Brownstein, the highlight of the week. I'm so excited to have him on. One of my people that I've learned so much from about health, about salt and iodine are the two big topics. And we'll, ask him all the questions that we can see here. And so I encourage you to understand this, right? This show is here basically to teach people that we do have control. We do have a say. We do have agency in our genetic expression. We used to think when I was growing up as a kid that the genes that were handed to us, the hand that we were dealt by mom and dad, determined our destiny. But what we find out that that's only about 20 to 30% of the whole game. It's not the hand that we're dealt, it's how we play the hand. So what happens is when you look into these pillars of living as a modern longevitarian, mindset, breath, hydration, sleep, super important. The most load-bearing pillar of them all, sleep. Then you get into fuel, and then you get into movement. Then you get into getting uncomfortable, like with the Wim Hof method and saunas, stepping out of your comfort zone physically, not the mental side of that. That goes back into number one in mindset, right? And then connecting with your family and nature and community and those things. Those are the things that influence the environment that your body lives in and allows your genes to flip on the good and flip off the switches that are for the bad, right? If you start doing these things right. And so that's what I encourage you to do. Also, this show today, and I'm tagging this late, is brought to you by the Untamed Club with Spirituality Gone Wild, which I'm part of their network. You can see their logo just next to my name there, Spirituality Gone Wild. There's over 20 of people like me who have live shows, the co-creators on the Spirituality Gone Wild network. Some of them are Steve Weber of the American Gumption Morning Show. Some of them are Debbie G, who is the founder, right? And G, she has for gratitude, right? And so what happens is that there are courses in here for the $22 a month. You get a 5-day free course every month for being a member of that group. And so I highly encourage you to tune in, tap into that. And there is I'll put a link in every one of the show notes and all 8 places this is streamed on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube for you to go check out about the Untamed Club. And so I encourage you to check that out. Also, to go to my website, strongforlonger.com, and there will be a pop-up for the final days of my book on sleep called Outstanding Landing, How to Get the Sleep of Your Dreams, which was inspired by a quote by Chuck Yeager, who passed away on December 7th. And so I'm going to do a show on him coming up because of the inspiration with him as well. And I got a secret story that I've only shared once online that I can tell you about Chuck Yeager and me that happened on December 7th. So tune in for that if you see that pop up as soon. So I'm going to wrap this up. Hello, Cindy. My cousin from back in South Carolina now lives in New Mexico. Thanks for tuning in and being here. And it's super cool that you're here. And so I'm going to wrap this up. And I want to say this. If it's your Friday, I hope you have a great weekend. And it's time to roll the credits.